Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here, and it's Miller time. A very special double feature in your throwback for August of 2014, and why not? Because the two of these films, which of course are based on comic books, got their respective sequels. One that came out in March, and one that closed out the summer. And the reason why I gave you this specific intro is because they are two movies based on two graphic novels written by one of the greatest comic book writers ever, and that is Frank Miller. Because he brought comic books back to the days of the dark and the grim and the true realism that it's not just about goofy gadgets, crazy monologue supervillains, and superheroes always going for the right of way. This was about a darker, real time when superheroes may in fact cross that line on what makes someone truly good, and those villains will cross that line on what is truly evil. And of course he's also known as giving us one of the greatest Batman stories, which is The Dark Knight Returns. But today we're going to take a look at the preceding films of the two sequels that are coming out this year. So the first one I want to go over is the one that came out first, and that is 300. It was the very first time that we in the film world got introduced to a young man named Zack Snyder. It's basically page for page the graphic novel 300 written by Frank Miller. It stars a great cast. We were also introduced to Gerard Butler and Lena Headey for the first time in the mainstream, and of course David Wenham comes off of his great performance as Faramir in Lord of the Rings, and we really got something new and fresh in the world of comic book films. The maximum use of bullet time pioneered by The Matrix with these amazing stop motion action scenes which really were frozen in time, like the images frozen on the page. The accuracy that these scenes in the film were looking as if they just popped right off of the graphic novel. The dialogue is exactly the same. The storytelling is exactly the same. It was one of the coolest, most original films based around a comic book that I had ever seen in my life, and I was so glad to have seen this movie. It also is so embedded into our culture with some of the lines that Gerard Butler gave us, like, "This is Sparta," or "Spartans, tonight we dine in hell," and those who have actually read the comic book did appreciate this movie very much. And as far as I'm concerned, I was giving 300 3.5 out of 4. I absolutely loved this movie when it came out in theaters, and I also have to admit, I will put a link to my review of 300 Rise of an Empire. It gave me a big surprise, and I did enjoy the sequel as well. But now let's take a look at the other one. This one actually came out first, and this is Sin City, of course, once again written by Frank Miller. It's been almost 10 years since this first film came out, and I am so excited with the fact that Sin City, A Dame to Kill For is finally coming out. And this is a very special DVD because this is the recut, unrated, extended edition, and it was actually one of the first movies that I actually have seen that was directed by two people, along with a special third director. This was directed by Robert Rodriguez, Frank Miller himself, and a special scene that was done by Quentin Tarantino. And this is a fantastic box set. I mean, of course, you got a great picture of the comic book character Marv that is right here on the inside of the box, and of course, he was played by Mickey Rourke. It has two versions of this film, the theatrical release, as you can see, but also a disc that splits all 4 stories into 4 separate films based on how long they were. And it was really cool to actually see it that way, and also kind of makes sense, especially if you want to see the stories separated as opposed to them all being meshed together. And of course you also have some great extra scenes, but the coup de grace here is the fact that you actually get a miniaturized version alongside with the menus and special features, because there's tons of special features on this edition. You also get the first of the 7 graphic novels with this film, and it's so great to actually read this. This is The Hard Goodbye, which is actually one of the segments of the film, so if you actually take a look at this graphic novel and compare it to that exact story, you're going to see nothing but accuracy. This movie also stars a cast for the ages. You had Mickey Rourke, as I mentioned before, but you also have Josh Hartnett, Brittany Murphy, Benicio del Toro, Elijah Wood, Clive Owen, Rosario Dawson, the late Michael Clark Duncan, Michael Madsen, Jessica Alba. I mean, you really have a phenomenal cast in this movie, and the sequel's going to have a great cast too. Who really shined in this movie was Clive Owen as far as the actors that actually had words and dialogue, but Elijah Wood says nothing in this movie. He plays the character Kevin. If you've read the graphic novels, you know exactly who he is. And he was so terrifying in this movie, especially because of the fact that he was all action and no talk. And once again, this is a movie that is taken right out of the pages of the comic books. It is such a pleasure to watch, and it's just so cool, especially that it's a film noir, black and white, and just like the comics, there are splashes of color in certain scenes. Like every now and again, you'll see a blue or a red or a pink or something like that. And it really is something original and something fresh, and I am so excited for A Dame to Kill For, and I'm really expecting this to be worth the wait, especially considering that it was almost 10 years, and also the cast looks great. I'm so excited to see people like Jeremy Piven, Ava Green, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and a couple of cast members that are coming back, like Bruce Willis and Jessica Alba and Powers Booth. I'm just so excited. I cannot wait. And as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to originality and when it comes to accuracy based on its source material, Sin City, like 300, is a real winner, and Sin City is going to get 4 out of 4 from me. So thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you watching this double feature, and I'm looking forward to giving you guys a review of Sin City, A Dame to Kill For, in the coming weeks. So catch you later. Actions speak louder than words.